Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to I guess this would be 4 for our weekly press conference with the head coach of our fabulous football team, Sean Lewis. And coach, obviously not the result you wanted in Iowa City, but certainly you have to be impressed with the fight that your boys put up there against a top 5 program.
Yeah, always pleased with the effort. I mean, the guys came out, gave it a great shot. We've made that a part of who we are, right? It's part of our culture that every single time we go on the road, we go on the road to compete. We're going to give our best effort. Our kids did that, but it's kind of like the mailman. When you got to go deliver when you get the opportunity to. No one cares about the mailman if not everyone on the block gets their mail. So we competed and we battled, but we're close. We're in the arena. There's lots that we learned from watching the tape, which is great. And now we need to continue to build and improve and take that next step. And we have the opportunities to close out in those moments, to capitalize and to do so.
Well, let's take our first round of questioning regarding Saturday's game. Let's start with Alan Mull from the Record Courier. Alan, any questions about the recap from Iowa?
Yeah, Coach, just, after watching film, what jumped out at you? Who jumped out at you?
I tell you what really stood out was the physical nature that our defense played with. I thought they did a really good job, aside from, a couple of runs that got out in different situations, a couple of explosives. As the most part, they did a really nice job stopping their stretch, which was the main point of emphasis. We did that. They gave us some runs that they hadn't shown all year long, but the physicality of Capone Blue, Montre Miller coming up, setting the edges because of the style of that game that it dictated. There's some really big hits that they laid down. The effort to fly to the football, it continues to be consistent. So that's great to see. Obviously Keyshawn Abram, individual performance, did a great job. We need him to consistently be that. I thought Crum battled, all day, did a good job handling some different looks and making good decisions. Some really good bright spots. Obviously plenty that we need to clean up.
Crum was under a fair amount of pressure. I forget how many sacks they had. Quite a few. How much of that was just you're playing Iowa? How much of that was on your end?
I would say more so, was on us. Our decision making, got to get the ball out of our hands. Some of that was tied to, decisions that were being made downfield. I think a lot and too much gets made, that all that kind of falls on the shoulders of our offensive line. When some of those pictures, are the quote unquote coverage sacks where we got to make better decisions downfield, win with better techniques so we can get the ball out of our hands. A couple of them, in the RPO game, it's kind of the nature of what we do, where Crum is, needs to make, when he pulls a decision, he has to trust that the receivers are going to be where they're supposed to be, and they are, and he gets the ball out of his hands so we can clean that up. So, there was probably, I think 2 of the 7 were just because of, hey, we lost some one-on-ones. 5 of those we can control. We need to be better. And that was one of the things that we talked about yesterday.
I believe you started 2 new, 2 guys that you didn't expect to start up front again. Where is that at this point? And, just talk about, again, being able to hang in there and be pretty physical with a team like that, even though you're missing some guys.
Yeah, I guess at this point, with the guys that we're playing and the experience that they're getting, it's not necessarily that we're missing, a starter or a key guy, but this that we have the depth to play other guys when need be. I feel great about where we are up front, especially as we head into, this last round of non-conference and we flip the page after this week as we get into conference play with the depth that we've been able to develop on both sides of our line. And, feel good about where we're at. There's no one that's down for any sort of long haul, and we'll be able to continue to roll and play the guys that we need to as we go forward.
Defensively, just talk a little bit more about, defending the run. Obviously, a huge point of emphasis coming into this year. You've faced 2 really good running backs. They put up some numbers, but again, all things considered, pretty respectful from your end. Statistically, just kind of talk about where you feel like you are with run defense at this point.
Yeah, I feel really good. The biggest thing, like I mentioned kind of in the opening statements, I guess, is that, we're really flying to the football this year. There's great effort. There's multiple hats to the ball. We're being violent and physical at the moment of truth, which is great to see. I don't get so caught up in the numbers, never have, really never will. In those regards, there's other things that are more specific in the way that we go about our process that are more of a priority to me. And those outcomes, if I can control those outcomes, then we'd be 3-0 right now, and life would be great, and all would be right with the world. So the process that our guys are going through, and as they continue to really learn and grow through these game reps, I've been really pleased with that. But again, the way that we are running to the ball, the effort that we're playing with on that side of the ball, and the physical nature that we're showing up with at the moment of truth has been really good to see.
Zay West saw his first action. How did he do? And what's it, obviously a big benefit to have him back in there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously one of our leaders up front, one of our better players. It's great to have him back in the fold. He flashed at times. But kind of the story of the day, individually for him and collectively, that we just need a little bit more consistency out of him. But I mean, it was great to have him. He's obviously a disruptive force up front. There's some big time plays on a couple of those key stretch plays where they're running away from him, where they're in balanced sets, where he does a great job. There's really no indicator of whether they're going to run it strong, whether they're going to run it weak. They have the ability to do both. And he shows up, fills his gap, does his responsibility, and it might not show up in the stat sheet, but he's the one that's forcing and making the play, which is great to see and great to have him back.
Special teams wise, the punting numbers weren't very good. How much was that? Was your punter? How much of that was some short fields he was punting on? How did you feel about that overall?
He executed the plan perfectly. That kid returning punts was the number one punt returner, and I think top 2 or top 3 kick returner in the conference going into it. We knew that he was a dynamic playmaker. He obviously got his hands on one when we had to kick deep after the safety. But in the punting game, we wanted to make sure that their special teams we thought were one of their best phases. I thought that that area of the game was a elite area for them with what they could do flipping the field. They had Iowa State the previous week pinned back multiple times inside the 10 because of the special teams and the field possession game. So, credit to Josh Smith, credit to our punt team. They did an excellent job executing the plan. We were able to put the ball in a lot of different spots. We mishit one where we put it in the middle of the field, but our kids did a great job covering it. Other than that, they returned the ball for -2 yards. We flipped the field. We changed the field position. We didn't put our defense in a disadvantaged spot when we were forced to punt. Thought our kids did a great job executing the plan.
Alan, any other follow-up questions for Coach?
I'm good from last game.
Okay. Well, let's go over to Jack Burney and TV2. Any questions regarding the Iowa game, Jack?
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, Iowa's great rush defense. You guys only averaged 1.9 yards per carry, and you guys had so many rushing yards against Texas A&M and VMI. How much was that was on your offensive line, or was it just you guys were going up against a great defense in Iowa?
A combination of both, and again, combination of the way that we decided to call it and the way that we decided to go against it. That was probably one of the stoutest fronts that we had seen going back to that 2019 Wisconsin front seven that we went up against, and those guys proved to be worthy, of the respect that we gave them. So we went about it a different way. So we got some life breathed into our throw game because of that. Got some explosive plays downfield, and again, I think those numbers get a little bit skewed because the lost yardage with the sacks is included in that as well. So again, really good front, really good defense. We got a really good front. We didn't execute to the best of our ability. We'll get some things ironed out, and we'll go, head back down range for another great challenge this week.
Jack, any other follow-ups?
I'm good for the Iowa game.
Okay, thank you. Let's take it over to James Oswald on the Kent Stater. Do you have any questions regarding the Iowa game for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, this was the second game this season where, in the first half, you guys were really still in it against a really good team. Defense was holding up, but the offense really couldn't just, capitalize on that. What were you, thinking not seeing from them, or was it just a matter of facing a really good defense?
It was just one critical opportunity that we had there on the +1 first and goal where, we gave up the football. I got to do a great job, as I alluded to, putting a better point of emphasis on that, because you score that touchdown. Now it's 14-16 after we convert that PAT. At the middle of the third, it's a completely different ball game. Unfortunately, there's a 14-point swing in the wrong direction. And when you're playing up, the margin of error is very, very small. When you want to win at a really high stage, at a really high level, the margin of error is really thin. And we got to be, right as coaches first and foremost. We got to make sure that we're putting our kids in the best position to have that success. And we got to do everything in our power to make sure that we're capitalizing on those moments, capitalizing on those opportunities, but again, our kids fought very, very hard to the very end. That's probably the best Big Ten team in the conference right now. And, we went toe to toe with them. That gives us confidence going forward. Obviously, again, not the result that we were after, but there's a lot of positive things that we can take from that, learn from, grow from, and be better as we get down range and as we continue to move forward in this journey.
James, any other follow-ups?
Nope, I'm good.
Rob, do you have any questions for Coach regarding the Iowa game?
Yeah, just a couple, Coach. On those 2 long touchdown runs that they had, especially the first one, after you saw it on film, was that just where your guys need to stay home a little bit? Did you over pursue that? How'd you see that?
No, I mean, we got to put our kids in a better position. I got to help the defense there with the structure and the tendencies there so that we can get ourselves in a better call. Kids did exactly what they were coached to do. We were aggressive. We played, kind of the tendencies. We played the inside. They did a great job throwing a counter punch, a compliment to their main concept. Ball got out. Fast player had it in his hands, and he had the angle, and we couldn't catch up.
Coach, did they give you any explanation, or what did you think of the intentional grounding call? It's 9-7 at the time. Looks like we might have a chance for a go-ahead field goal, and it looked like a pretty iffy call where, it just looked like maybe a miscommunication with Dustin and the receiver. How'd you see that?
Good call.
All right, Coach, let's flip the script and focus our attention a little bit on the Terps here this week. I'm sure you've gotten a few copies of their 3 games. Tagovailoa is obviously going to get the headlines because that's a famous name, but there's got to be a lot more to Loxley's crew.
Yeah, I mean, talented crew, obviously great job that Coach Loxley and his staff have done very early on in their tenure. They kind of had a similar season to ours a year ago, only getting a chance to play 5 games in his first year as a head coach, but you could tell there's some cultural foundation things that have been laid. They fly around. They've done a great job, acquiring some great talent through recruiting early on. They play a bunch of kids. Offensively, their skill really stands out. They got 2 wide receivers, number 7, number 5, that are on the opposite ends of those passes from the quarterback. And those guys are dynamic with the ball in their hands. Very multiple defensively. They give you a bunch of different fronts. They play a bunch of different kids. Again, it's very impressive for a staff to be as early as they are in their tenure with the amount of depth of talent that they have acquired across their program, and they found ways to win. They've been in some really, really tight games. Week 1 here against a very good West Virginia team that just proved how good they are by going on the road, or beating Virginia Tech at home last week. So that win looks even better as you continue to see how this college football game or season plays out. And then on a Friday night going into Champaign, and finding a way to win is never easy on the road. And this Maryland team found a way to do that Friday night. So, a team that is talented and finds ways to win is going to be a tough out. We're looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to getting on the road and getting a chance to showcase our program yet again.
Let's open it up for questions. Alan, do you have any questions for Coach regarding this week's matchup?
Yeah, you mentioned the receivers, and then just specifically what do these guys do? Seems like they can do, they run and pass both very effectively, at least so far this year. Just talk about what it's like to defend them.
Yeah, I mean, they're balanced. They attack in a lot of different ways. The receivers are able to have the speed to get on top, track the deep ball. Both of them do a very good job in their jet sweep game. So, they do a nice job playing with final formation, playing with different personnel groupings, giving you one picture, creating some different, motions, jets, etc. That get the ball to their speed in space, and then their speed is able to create, whether that's on the ground with their run game or throwing short, running long in the throw game, or they have the ability to get on top and the quarterback has the accuracy on the deep ball, to really make you pay if you get too nosy with things.
Yeah, and I got their defensive numbers in front of me. Nobody really thinks defense when you think Maryland, but they've been very good in that end as well, or that side as well. Talk about that and who kind of stands out on that side.
Yeah, they're stout. Their D-line really stands out. They've gone out and acquired some junior college talent that's come in and done a really good job. They're strong inside. They play multiple fronts, so as you prep and as you plan for them, you got to make sure that, the things that you're carrying hold up against all the different looks, because there's not a bunch of heavy tendencies of what you're going to get in any one situation, which is probably exactly what they want, to where they're able to present some different stresses in different ways. Again, their back end, they got guys that can match up. Number 12 is a young kid that they think very highly of, that plays all over the place. He'll be anywhere from kind of that nickel Sam position that has the ability to come up and run support, to where in other personnel groupings, they'll put him out, as the number one corner and cover your number one wide receiver. So he's got some flexibility. Number 3, their one safety is a ball hawk in the back end, had a big interception in the West Virginia game. Number 2, one of the corners had a big interception. And again, they're talented. So they're rolling a lot of different people. They're able to stay fresh. You see that in the West Virginia game, late in the game, to where their defense is able to get stops, generate turnovers. You see it again in the Illinois game in critical situations where, because they're playing multiple people, they're able to stay fresh. They're able to execute in crunch time. And again, they're getting off the field at the right time and finding ways to get the ball back to their offense.
This is just a curiosity of mine. How much do you know about the next team you're playing before Sunday morning rolls around? And obviously you spend tons of time on Sunday looking at these guys, but just what's that process like for you?
Very minimal, Alan, until we get into conference play. And, we've gone through it with the years that we've been in conference with the common opponents. You have a good idea of who they are, but like for this one, I don't like to cross wires. I got to keep the main thing and stay focused on the task at hand. I'm not smart enough to have Iowa pictures last week, and as the tail end of the week gets going, then I started getting Terrapin pictures in my head. Maybe my wife can handle all that. She's the multitasker in our organization here. That ain't me. I got to keep the main thing. So come Sunday morning, we clean up the tape from the day prior, and then we take a deep dive, and it ends up making for long nights, early mornings here early on in the week. But it's the process and it's the labor of love that we know that winning requires, and I love doing it and love being able to get a plan to our kids and put them in the best place to win as we get to know these guys as we go through the week.
I just wanted to ask specifically about Montre Miller and then just what he's been able to do so far this year. To be honest with you, when you told me he was going to be your other starting corner, I didn't know much about him. He hasn't played a whole lot. Yeah. And you're kind of just thinking, okay, this guy, all right, he might have earned a job. But I mean, to see what he's done so far, obviously, this guy can play, and just talk about how he's developed so quickly and what you saw in him and that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest word that you said right there, Alan, is development, and he's one of the kids that we signed in one of our early classes that we identified that he had a skill set and a set of talents that we knew that with his right mindset and his work ethic, that would be able to develop over time. I think it gets lost right now in our society, like that it just happened that, hey, he wasn't a starter. Now he is a starter, and he just burst on the scene. This kid's been working his tail off ever since he got here. And I couldn't be more pleased with the way that he has changed his body, gone about his work and really embraced the physical nature that's required to play the game at this high of a level. He was primarily an offensive kid in high school that, again, had a set of skills that, the D staff did a great job identifying. He bought into our vision very, very early on, and he's been quietly working in the back. And it's a great testament that I think probably we all can, learn a little bit from, that it doesn't happen overnight. Like it looks like right now, because he's having success, like, oh, he just burst on the scene. This kid's been working his tail off like a lot of other kids in our program. So now his opportunity came, and he's trained. He's trained and ready for the moment. So he seizes it, he capitalizes it, and now everyone recognizes him as this great starter. Well, he's had habits as a starter. He's had work ethic as a starter, and it's developed and put him trained to be in this moment, to be in this spot. And it didn't just happen, which, again, like anything else, it takes a little bit of time. You got to have a little, delayed gratification with it, not this instant gratification that we love to live in right now, where we can go on our phones and grab Grubhub and just get whatever we want within the hour. Like, he wanted the starting position. That's something of high value. And this kid worked his tail off relentlessly, for years to get the moment. He's trained now. He seized it. And I could sing his praises for the next hour and soak up everyone's lunchtime here. Him and Capone. It's a similar story. Guys who have been in the program, done things the right way, and really, really excited for them that they're seeing some benefits of the work that they've put in.
A lot of neat matchups in this game, obviously, but those two, and Capone as well, Elvis and Montre against their receivers and their quarterback. Just talk about that. It's going to be a big key to how things go, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously those guys winning their one-on-ones, but I think those guys would tell you too, the best DB that we can have is a great pass rush. So our guys winning up front so that, we apply some pressure, we move the quarterback off his spot, make him uncomfortable. That'll be a big part of it as well. So it's the beauty of defensive football. It takes all three levels, all 11 guys, every single play. But we got to take pride in winning those one-on-ones, whether it be the DB wide receiver matchups or winning the one-on-ones up front so that we can generate pressure and, get this kid a little bit uncomfortable, get him off his spots and force him to do some things off script. Because when he's on rhythm, he's pretty dangerous.
I got one more. Just obviously Maryland's a really good football team, but they're not number 5 or 6 in the country. Do you have any to fight any tendencies or anything like that to think that, well, we did this against these other teams, we were right there. Well, now we're playing Maryland. Hey, this is, I don't know about easy is obviously not the right word, but you know what I'm saying? Just a tendency to think this is going to be easier.
I think, Alan, again, like outside the building, people have that prerogative. They have that luxury to think that way. Inside the building, we all know what winning requires, and it's a lot of hard work. So it doesn't matter if it's A&M, VMI, Iowa, Maryland, conference opponent. Like winning requires a certain level of investment, dedication, sacrifice, discipline, week in and week out. And I say all those terms with love and affection, quite honestly. Like if you're committed to something and you want to win at a high level, which everyone in our Flash Fast family does, the opponent happens to be Maryland this week, but ultimately the battle is us versus us. How can we improve this week every single day? How can we go about the proper preparation of winning so that we hold that process in high regard so that, again, when the moment comes, when the opportunities show themselves on Saturday, we're trained so we can capitalize. If we go about the process the right way, if we handle the day-to-day the right way, if we put the blinders on, and even though everyone in town's patting us on the back and saying, hey, congratulations, you guys play with the number 5 team. That's great. We're so proud of you guys. Thank you. But it doesn't matter. We got to get better. So we can end this thing the right way and we can continue to build, not just this week to end it the right way, but as we go through this whole journey, we're where we want to be because we reach the level of success that we are capable of reaching. And we're not even close to reaching that yet, which again, just only strengthens our resolve, kind of adds fuel to the fire, tightens our bond so we can continue to go do the work. Because again, work works regardless of who you're playing. Let's go work.
Jack from TV2, any questions for Coach regarding this week's matchup with the Terrapins?
Yeah, Coach, one thing that really impressed me, both against A&M and Iowa, was the scheme you guys threw at them in the first half of games. It was a very tight contest at halftime in both games. I guess my question is, what is sort of that next step you guys need to take this week against Maryland to continue the momentum into the second half and have a chance of winning on the road against a Big Ten team, a great team like Maryland?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's one of those deals where capitalizing on the moments, capitalizing with the basic fundamentals and the execution, and again, making sure that in those critical situations, we're putting our kids in the best position to be successful. Just in-game adjustments, I think at times kind of get a little bit overinflated, so to speak, right? Like everyone wants to know about, like, Coach, what are you going to say differently at halftime? Like, guys, the outcome of the game doesn't come down to my 30-second speech at halftime and the way we come out, right? Again, it's the preparation and the work that we put in so that whether those moments and plays present themselves in the first half, second half, overtime, we're there, we're present, we're executing with conviction together. And no matter how long we need to go, we're willing to go harder, longer than the opponent. That's real toughness, real physical and mental toughness. And it's just that resolve to knock down and take this next step and elevate our program to the heights that we know that we're capable of.
One more is, are there any keys that you think will be particularly important on Saturday against Maryland? We mentioned their high scoring offense. You mentioned they're only giving up 14 points per game on defense. What do you think is going to be particularly important to get right this week in practice to translate on Saturday?
Fundamentals and ball security. As boring as that is, it's like a chocolate milkshake. It works, guys. Like when done right, it's done right. So take care of the football and let's have great technique and fundamentals. no one needs to put their Superman cape on. We need to do those things the right way. If we do that, we're going to give ourselves a chance.
James, do you have any follow-ups regarding Maryland for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. Maryland last week I think had 6 sacks or something like that, and then obviously this week with Dustin getting sacked a few times there. What do you see from their pass rush, or if you know anything about that, and then what you need to do to contain it to keep Dustin upright?
Yeah, they're explosive off the edge. They got a handful of kids that they rotate, that they stay fresh, that have length, have speed, have an unbelievable ability to get from speed to power. So they put your tackles, in a tough spot, because if you set for speed and they bowl through you, now you're off balance. If you set for power, they have the ability to bend and turn the edge. So, we got to do a great job, quite frankly, getting the ball out of our hands, throwing with timing and location, no matter how fast they're able to work or bend the edge or get home to their spots. If we do a great job winning with techniques and fundamentals downrange, and we throw the ball with timing and location, that's how we can protect ourselves and keep our quarterback upright.
James, any other follow-ups for Coach?
Nope, I'm good.
We'll close it with any final questions from the voice of the Golden Flashes, Mr. Rob Polinsky. Any questions for Coach?
Oh, thanks, Dan. Just quick, Coach. It might be a similar way of how they were asking you earlier, but do you sense a confidence in how close this team might be in pulling off one of these, upsets against a Power 5 team, because you played so well at A&M for almost 3 quarters, and you took Iowa deep into the 4th quarter with the game still, in question? Do you get a sense that the team, and do you realize how close you are to maybe going 4 quarters and pulling one of these off?
I don't know if it's so much, a confidence in upsetting a Power 5 and pulling off one of these games. I don't know if it's so much that, Rob, as it is just more of a confidence and conviction in our process. I can sense and feel in our kids that when we do things the right way, and they handle their business the right way, and they encourage each other, and there's great positive peer pressure to do things the flash fast way, like that's been heightened. Like in years past, when we've gotten to these moments, right, to where it's kind of like there's guys on the fence, like, oh, should I commit more? Should I invest more? Do I need to watch extra tape? Do I need to take care of my body? Do I need to do all the extra things that winning requires? We're at a point now with our flash fast culture to where like the group is over here chasing excellence. And if you're not in that group, there's great positive peer pressure, because you're like, wait, like we're going to do more now? Like, yeah, heck yeah, we're going to go do more so that we can go get the outcome that we're going to truly earn, so it's more about this confidence and conviction to our way of doing things. And if we double down our effort on that, then we know whatever it is that we want, the A in the class, the P5 victory, the homecoming win, the great relationship with my significant other, whatever it is, if I'm willing to invest in it and do the work that's required for what I want, good things are going to happen.
Coach, finally, I know it's early in the week, but is there any kind of an injury update you can give us from what happened, at Iowa, and then maybe anybody that you think might be able to come back this week, just an injury update overall?
I don't have that info right now as we get into the normal week here. This is a big day for our guys, part of that process to win, to get back to where they need to on Monday here with our players' day off. So I'll have more of that information as the week progresses.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us here. Again, 3:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network this Saturday as your Golden Flashes take on Maryland. Coach, thank you again for a few moments of your time. We'll let you get back to work.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for all the coverage, guys. Appreciate you. Go Flashes.